Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today I'm unboxing a new e-ink device, the BigMe B1051C, which is a very boring name for what sounds like a very interesting device. So BigMe contacted me recently and very kindly offered to send me this device for a review. So I'm going to do an unboxing video with you today, and then I will do a full review probably in 2 or 3 weeks, sometime early in the new year, and let you know what I think of it. So they've sent me a number of different things in this box. So this box I think has the actual device in it. So let me tell you what that device is. So this is a colour ink device with a 10.3-inch screen. It runs Android 14, so a very recent version of Android. I think the current version of Android is 15. One of the criticisms people level at some of these ink devices is that they quite often run older versions of Android. So having this one running a very new version of Android, I think is fantastic. It's got 6 gigabytes of memory, so 6 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of onboard storage, and it supports an SD card as well. So you can put a ton of content on this device should you want to. It's got apparently the latest version of the Kaleido 3 screen, which is supposed to be have more vibrant colours and also whiter white. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's like. This will be the first device I've had with that newer Kaleido technology. It's also got pen support. So my intention for this device is to use it as a productivity device for work. So normally, ink devices I just use for reading on, but I have recently been using another one as a notepad for work, but that one does have some limitations. There are certainly things this one will allow me to do that the current one doesn't. And the fact that this has Android 14 means I can install all of my work apps on here, so things like Outlook and OneNote. So I'm going to try using it as a note-taking device for work and see how that goes. So as well as the actual device, BigMe have also sent me the keyboard case for it. So that is, I believe, in this box here. So this again looks really interesting. It's a keyboard with a little trackpad as well. So really keen to try this out and see what it's like. And then they've also sent me a screen protector for it as well. So you don't need to use the screen protector with it, but you can do if you want to. So without further ado, let's get into the box and see what it's like. Okay, so here is that first box, which looks very similar to other BigMe boxes I've had in the past, so perfectly serviceable. There's a bit of a sleeve on it, and there's actually 2 boxes inside this. I'm going to assume that one of them has the actual device and one of them has the case for it. So let's put this one to one side. That's the slimmer of the 2. And let's see what's in here. So there we go. There is the device with the BigMe logo on it, which looks nice. It's got this slightly weird but quite interesting asymmetrical design. So wider bezels at the top and at the side, which I guess makes it easier to hold. So let's peel the plastic off and get into it. And that is really nice. It's not too heavy. It's got a decent weight to it, but it's not too heavy. There seems to be a speaker grill across the top there. There's, I think that's the SD card slot on the side there. Quite nice orange line on the, sorry, let me get it in focus. Quite nice orange line on the back there, and the BigMe logo, and also the pogo connector there for the keyboard, I guess, and a small camera at the top there on the back as well. So what else have we got in here? So we've got the regular kind of little pouch that will have a quick start guide, I guess some extra nibs for the pen by the look of it, and the charging cable. And then we've got the pen here, which feels quite nice actually. It's quite light, but it's got a lovely, you probably can't see it on camera, but it's got a lovely texture to it. That feels quite like a regular pen. You can see the nib at the end there, so we'll give that a try in a while. And it's got a slightly clicky end there, which I'm guessing is going to be an eraser. So that is the device and the stylus. Let's dive into the other box. So this will be the cover. Again, this seems decent. It's got one of these magnetic removable flaps, which are a slightly weird way of doing it, but can be quite effective at times. So we'll see how good that is. But it seems like a perfectly decent case. It's the kind of case that you can, it's got that extra flap, so you can kind of prop it up as well. So that should be useful. So let's put that there. And then have a quick look at the keyboard as well. So this here has the keyboard in it, I'm guessing. And the idea of having the keyboard case really does appeal to me. I think as a productivity device, that's going to make it extra useful. I really like the idea of using this for work and seeing how I get on with it. So let's have a look in here. There's some instructions on how to attach it to the device. Another bit of protective stuff. So there you can see the pogo connector on the inside of the case, but the actual keyboard looks pretty decent. So decent sized trackpad there. It's got a reasonable amount of weight to it. But yeah, the keys feel fine so far. So that will definitely be one of the things I'm testing out in the review, is just how good it is for typing. I've never used a keyboard with an e-device before, so interested to see how that works. So here we have it. I've done what I normally do, connected it to my Wi-Fi, gone into Google Play and downloaded a few apps. I've also done the system update, which was required in order for the keyboard cover to work. So that's all done and it's fully up to date now. And I'm impressed with it so far. The screen feels very responsive, and crucially it feels very vibrant. It feels a lot more vibrant than some of the other colour e-ink screens I've used. The whites definitely look whiter, and the colours are definitely more colourful. So if I go into the BBC News app, for example, you can see that there. It's really pretty decent. The colours are still, somewhat muted, as they always are on an e-ink screen, but they're really pretty good, and the scrolling is good too. It does feel like it will be a nice device to read the news on, which is something I like to do on e-ink. In terms of other things then, so if I go into the Notes app and just give you a quick demo of the pen, which seems to work very well indeed. So you just scribble away to your heart's content. As you'd expect, there's a load of different pen types that you can choose between, and you can change the colour and the line thickness and things like that as well. And yeah, it all seems to work well. What I have noticed in the pre-installed Notes app, if you like, the BigMe Notes app, when you write on the screen, it immediately shows up in the colour and pen type that you've chosen. In something like OneNote, which I've also got on here, it just shows up as a thin black line initially, and then when you've finished writing or drawing, it then kind of pops into the colour you've chosen and the pen type you've chosen. But in the default BigMe Notes app, works absolutely fine, and in OneNote it works fine as well. It just does it in a slightly different way. Reading feels like it will be good on this as well, so because it runs Android, you can install whatever apps you want. So I've got the Kobo app on here. If I go into that, you can see I'm reading a comic at the moment, and the colours seem pretty good in this. It's certainly nice and vibrant. It feels like it will be a very nice device to read comics on. I've chosen the worst possible comic to read because it's quite a dull and dark comic at times, but you can see here, the colours are really pretty decent. If I go into the pre-installed Books app, you can see what reading text is like. So obviously you can read on, you can read textbooks on whatever app you want, but I've got a few that I've chucked into Neo Reader, so it's got a split view, which I really like for reading, which works really nicely on a screen this size. As you can see, screen refresh works very quickly, hardly any ghosting at all. It really feels like it will be a pleasant device to read on. So the cover that comes with it seems pretty decent. It gives it a reasonable amount of protection without adding any bulk. It just kind of magnetically slips in there, and it's got one of those fasteners on the edge just to give it a bit more security and make sure the pen gets held in. If I open it up again, it has also got, which I didn't realise, a fingerprint sensor. So built into the power button is a fingerprint sensor, which seems to work very well indeed. So that's a nice bonus that I didn't realise it had. And the keyboard cover seems decent as well, so very simple to insert the device into it. So you can see I've got the cover here. You just kind of clip it in like this. Let's make sure I've got it the right way up. So you just slide it in from the side and then push push it down and it clips in nice and firmly. The keyboard cover has this bit that flaps down at the back, which has got a ton of resistance in it, so you can put it to whatever angle you want in order to rest the screen at the right angle for you. If I let's get rid of that menu. If I lay it flat so you can see what I'm typing, you can see it types nice and nice and simply. It works very decently as a keyboard. I think it's going to be a nice device to use for note taking and things like that. And the responsiveness of the screen is far better than I expected it to be for typing. Where it's not quite so good is with the trackpad. So I don't know if you can see, but the cursor kind of stutters around across the screen a bit there. So I think if you've got it on ultra fast mode, it's probably a little bit better. But even there, it's not as good as something like a laptop. So I can't see myself using the trackpad too much, if I'm honest. But you can use it for two-finger scrolling and things like that. And then the pen, when you're not using it, attaches with a decent amount of magnetism to the side of it. It's not the strongest magnet I've ever felt, but it doesn't feel like it's going to fall off and get lost either. So there are my first impressions of the BigMe B1051C. It does feel like a really interesting device despite that terrible name. The keyboard cover in particular makes it really appealing to me. I can definitely see myself using this for replying to emails, replying to comments and things like that, as well as consuming news and books and all that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely a device I like the look of so far. I will report back in a couple of weeks with more thoughts on it, with a fuller review. If there's anything you'd like me to cover in that review, if you've got any particular questions, do leave them in the comments and I'll try and do that. There'll be a link in the description to this video where you can find out more information about the device. That will be an affiliate link, so if you choose to purchase one of them using that link, I will get a small commission. Anyway, I will leave it there and say, as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.